We're delighted to be joined this week by a hugely talented chef bringing his own signature style and some serious sizzle to our screens. Hasan Semay, also a YouTube star, author and young MasterChef judge. He's big on flavour, he's big on personality, the man they call Big Hass. Hass, welcome to Showcase.
Thanks for having me.
It's so lovely to have you
That was
here.
quite an intro.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're very deserving of it. Your book is absolutely fantastic. Smoke and Seasoned Bread. But it's much more than just a cookbook, isn't it?
I mean, I guess it starts off as a cookbook. I feel like it's a breakdown into my life disguised as a cookbook. So there are recipes that I want people to cook from, but it's also a book that I'd enjoy people to read and understand.
I really enjoyed it because it's your journey back to Türkiye, and it's you on a journey of soul searching, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, being a second generation kid and looking the way you look, but not knowing how you identify. So my mum's white British, but my dad's Turkish Cypriot. And we grew up in a very Turkish household, like eating Turkish food, speaking the language. And I guess there comes a point in your life where you have to realize what you stand for and what you're about. So growing up Cypriot kind of made me feel like I had association with Türkiye, but we're quite different. So when I landed and went to like Istanbul, Trabzon, Rize, Samsun, Gaziantep, Urfa, Adana, and went to all of these different places, it was watching the food change geographically and almost also the way people changed, the way culture changed, the way the weather changed. And I think people forget how vast Türkiye is and how much culinary background there is. Like if you think about way back in the ancient times and the Ottomans and the Silk Road and what's passed through, that no matter where you land in Türkiye, there's something different to eat and people are celebrating different ingredients. And I think that was the part of the trip that I really enjoyed the most.
So tell us a bit more in detail about how the food throughout Türkiye varies in that case, and what struck you most about the different food throughout?
Kuyruk yağı is one of them. So the use of tail fat in barbecue country. In Türkiye, it's almost championed as if you're doing barbecue and there isn't kuyruk yağı, what's the point of lighting the barbecue? But then it was like going to Urfa and seeing everyone use the Urfa chili. So, which is essentially pul biber, but dried for longer. And it gives you more like a deep chocolatey note. Going to Trabzon and eating fish and cheese, because it's like Turkey's equivalent of the highlands. So it's celebrating the fish in the beautiful waters and the fact that you can eat kaşar peynir from someone that's made it and it's been making it for centuries. And I feel like in the UK, the association with Turkish food is often mixed grill. And it's a great entry point for sure, like to experience our culture as a mixed grill with free meze. So you often get like cacık, hummus, and it's an introduction into like the assault course that Turkish food can be. To then see it firsthand was an eye-opening experience for me, but it's also something that I wanted to educate my demographic on, because I'm used to people saying to me, where can I get the best kebab? You're Turkish, you should know. And it's like, there's so much more to Turkish food than just kebabs. And I guess there was a part of me that wanted to go on this soul-searching trip, but also throw a tiny bit of education in and be like, this is why we do this, or this is why Turks celebrate this. And I quite like the fact no matter where you go in the world, the same ingredients are used throughout, but people use them in different ways. And I guess as an author and as a cookbook writer, that's what you want to put across.
You've dedicated this one to your father, but you've had quite a complicated relationship, haven't you? Tell us about Kamil.
I think growing up, dual nationality plays a big part with understanding who you are. I guess as kids, behind closed doors, it was always a Turkish household. It was TRT on the telly, it was Turkish music, Turkish food. And my mum, when she married my dad, spent time in Cyprus, 18 months in total, learned the language of the culture. So we technically grew up Turkish kids, but as soon as I left the house, being Turkish wasn't everything. It was about being a Londoner. I grew up in multicultural North London where there was African communities, West Indian, Indian, and I guess your culture almost dilutes depending where you live, right? But it's also difficult having a dad that's so village. Like, if my dad could, he'd have goats in the garden and chickens and live the Cyprus ethos, but in the UK. And growing up with my dad not technically becoming British, but staying rooted and grounded. And I think that's why I'm quite stubborn and want to do things my way, is something that I get from my dad. But it was hard to understand how I had this English Rose mum and this dad that was just stuck in this Cyprus mentality. So I guess it was about juggling how and when to be Turkish. And it was often just with dad, and then outside that I was just kicking it with whoever was local, really. And I think having a dad who was a war survivor, a war prisoner, because often Turkish dads and Turkish parents want you to go in a direction of being a lawyer or becoming a doctor. And my dad would say to me sometimes, why have you chosen the hardest job in the world? So to have this full circle moment of like writing about a country that essentially only recognizes Cyprus, and with Türkiye the only people that recognize us, to have this full circle moment of like war prisoner dad to Sunday Times bestselling author, cookbook writer that's dedicated to the culture that I guess I once neglected. It felt like the immigrant parent's dream for me. Do you know what I mean? So I looked at it from a perspective of my dad and I was a bit like, cool, I wasn't a doctor, but I've written a whole book about our culture and this one's dedicated to you, basically.
How did you get into food? Because it wasn't the easiest journey there, was it? It wasn't the most obvious journey.
No, so I was a security guard for a long time, a plumber for a bit, although I didn't get a plumbing job because I couldn't fit in an airing cupboard. And I realized really quickly that I wasn't as small as some of the blokes to like tie the knots behind the toilet seats and stuff. So I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work for the rest of my life. But I secretly watched cooking shows my entire life. But mum just said to me, she was like, Jamie Oliver's got a course where they take kids on with troubled backgrounds or no qualifications. Mum was just like, give it a go, what have you got to lose? And then got on a course, met Jamie Oliver, he took me under his wing, and then learned how to do pasta and saw the similarities between Turkish food and food of the Mediterranean. And I was already in love with food before that, but fell more in love with food when you start to understand the language and the techniques and the history and how patriotic people can be about the dishes that make their countries.
And let's talk about Sunday Sessions, because that's been a huge success of yours, which you started in lockdown.
Yep.
You're now in your 4th series, Come Rain or Shine.
Yep.
What a brilliant YouTube series it is. How did that come about?
Sunday Sessions was born off the back of a video that Jamie Oliver let me shoot for his platform.
Hi guys, hope you're well. So I wanted to do a film about where our students from 15 have gone on to. And this story is about Big Hass, who's going to show you how he cooks at the weekend with his family over fire. You're going to love it.
Barbecue Sunday is something that we started from home. I grew up in a Turkish Cypriot English household. So instead of doing traditional English Sunday roast, we grew up on Sunday barbecue. My dad was adamant that we grew up in that Turkish lifestyle. And it's just something that I took the torch on. Now we're here on camera, so let's get this happening. So me and Jamie are really friendly. Jamie's a great guy, changed my life. I can't say, honest, there's not enough nice words to describe how great Jamie Oliver is, right? But he sat me down. I was at a point in my career where I was a head chef, about to take on a big job at a restaurant that was very successful and very popular in the UK. And I sat and spoke to Jamie and he was like, what do you actually want to do? And I was like, I want to be you. Do you know what I mean? I want to be media. I want to write TV. I want travel shows. I want to explore the deeper meanings of food and package it and sell it to people. And he was like, cool, borrow this camera, make me a video, we'll put it on our YouTube. We did that. And it got really good comments, really good traction. And I guess we just struck when the iron was hot. And we were just like, let's kick it in the garden, man. And like, there's episodes with my dad in, there's episodes from Indonesian food, Thai food, to Sri Lankan curries. It's like no holes barred, open, honest cooking. But the main thing, I guess, is about educating people to the way that I look at food. Because food for me means love. A 4 count. Nice little 4 count. Just want to create smoke. Gentle, gentle. We're not worried about pink and like beautiful insides. This is about building flavor through smoke, fat and fire. I want to teach you a little bit of history, some culinary knowledge, and then like play a nice song and have conversation. Like, I just feel like those are the things that are missing from food at the minute, and I was given the platform and the opportunity to do it, and it's just what I want to do for a living.
As you say at the start of your book, that no one wanted to sit next to you on the flight out at Istanbul, and all I can say is their loss, because you are one of the most wonderful, interesting
Thank you.
people I've ever met.
Thanks.
And I loved your book. Congratulations. Thank you so much for talking to us here.
Thanks for having me.
I've loved sitting next to you.
Me too.